Hello and welcome back to the channel, guys, and welcome to my prediction video for week 29 of the Premier League season. Um, and let's just recap on last week. Liverpool extended their lead at the top. It's now 15 points, and I think, bar the Liverpool squad coming down with a mass case of a severe illness, God forbid that happened, um, they've won the league. Forest, as much as it pains me to say it, and yes, I will say it every time I talk about them, have tightened their grip on European football, um, and the bottom three are going down. I there's, there's no one that convinced me otherwise. Bar a footballing miracle, Leicester, Ipswich, and Southampton are going down. That was last week. This is this week. Let's get into those predictions, and we start off with the first of the 3 o'clock kickoffs: Everton versus West Ham. Everton, Everton. Let's talk about Everton. They are unbeaten in their last 8 Premier League games. When was the last time an Everton side could say that? A fairly long time ago, I reckon. Um, you know, Last time they picked up a 1-1 draw against Wolves. Jack Harrison scored. I think that pleased David Moyes a little bit. He said in an interview he needed more goal contributors. Um, so yes, Jack Harrison scored his first goal in over a year. I'm sure that would have pleased Everton fans and David Moyes a lot. A 1-1 draw against Wolves isn't that bad for Everton. They're level on points with West Ham, quite a way ahead of the relegation zone. I think these two sides are both safe. So yeah, um, I watched West Ham the other night. West Ham lost 1-0 to Newcastle, and they were disappointing. They should have got off to an electric start. Suchek should have scored inside. I think it was like 46 seconds or something daft like that. Uh, yeah, and if that had gone in, I think it would have been a different game. Uh, it allowed Newcastle to play their game. Newcastle went on 1-0 winners. I think Harvey Barnes scored. Um, but yeah, like I said, both teams sat on 33 points, comfortably ahead of the relegation zone. So I don't think these two have to worry about a relegation battle, which I think would please both sets of fans because both sets of fans have been through a bit when they're usually down there. They Everton are always down there in recent seasons. So head to heads. I'm gonna go through a few head to heads. Everton have a better track record. They've won 75. West Ham have only won 45. Um, although West Ham do have a better record in the last six, they've won 3 out of the last six. The one draw in that six was the last meeting in November. So my prediction for this one, I think Everton are going to extend their unbeaten run to 9. I'm going for Everton 2, West Ham 1. Next up, my favourite side in the whole world that I really love talking about. He says with as much sarcasm as he's ever said anything before. Ipswich versus Nottingham Forest. It's very bleak for Ipswich, isn't it? The Yeah, I can't see him turning this round. Uh, yes, it's only 6 points from safety, but it's still a lot. When you're down there, 6 points might as well be 50 points because the pressure is on you to start picking up points. Um, and Ipswich have only picked up 1 point in the last four. So yeah, I mean, last week, they lost 1-0 to Crystal Palace. I don't think many people expected Ipswich to go to Selhurst Park and pick up 3 points. Forest, however, on the opposite end of the scale, obviously picked up that massive win against Man City, and it pains me to say this because they people say they play good football. All they do is sit back and counter. But it works for them, and it obviously has worked for them because that's why they're sat in third place. Um, you know, Granted, Edison should have done better with the goal, but hey ho, the scoreline counts at the end of the day. Uh, and Forest have tightened their grip on European football. A much needed win, I think, because they'd won. They'd drawn and lost 2 of the last 3 beforehand, and maybe shades of a shaky period for them. So a big moral boosting win for Forest. You know, I mean, I didn't spend too much time looking at the crowd when the full time whistle went, but you know, you could see how much it meant to them, and the banter groups are going to be interesting next season when Forest are in Europe. Um, and to help my matters even further, Ipswich have a shocking record against Forest. Ipswich have only won 22. Forest have won 41. Ipswich's last league win against Forest was when they were both in the Championship in 2017. That was a 4-2 win. Um, the last league meeting between these two sides was a 1-0 win for Forest. And I think Forest are going to win again and complete the league double. Ipswich 0, Forest 2 is my prediction. Next up, we have my pick for the Saturday games. I think this is going to be a really good game. Man City versus Brighton. Um, City obviously are having a very underwhelming season by their high standards, and they've hit another patch of inconsistency. Won two, lost two, obviously losing last time out against Forest. Uh, but they've got to be careful because looking at the Premier League table, the 2 points outside the top four. Granted, fifth place should get a Champions League spot. I think if an English side win the Champions League, then we get a fifth entrance into the Champions League next season. But the level on points with Newcastle in sixth. Sorry, obviously Newcastle playing the League Cup final on Sunday. Brighton are 1 point behind City and can obviously leapfrog City with a win. Villa are 2 points behind City in eighth, and Bournemouth in ninth are 3 points behind City and only 2 goals behind them. So if Bournemouth lose and Bournemouth win, City and obviously Aston Villa win. Aston Villa don't play this week. Scrap that. City can find themselves as low as seventh. You know, which would be worrying for them. I think. You know, and don't rule out Fulham and even Palace. I think Palace are on fire at the moment. So you know, I wouldn't be banking against City not qualifying for the Champions League next season. But but they do play a Brighton side who are themselves on absolute fire. They are joint second with Crystal Palace in the form table. Only Liverpool are better. The only reason why Palace are slightly above Brighton is on goal difference if into the last 6 games. Um, you know, and they had a massive win last week against Fulham. They won 2-1 against Fulham, which I think is a big win considering it could have been a lot. The table could have read a lot differently this week. However, head-to-head records, City have a fantastic record. They've won 21 of the 32 meetings between the sides. 33, sorry, meetings between the sides. Brighton have only won 7. And City have also never ever lost back-to-back league games against Brighton. Brighton's best chance at making history, I think, this week. However, I do think it's going to be a draw. I'm going for Man City 2, Brighton 2. Southampton versus Wolves. Southampton are deadbeat. They are as good as gone. I'm sorry, but they need the Lord to save them now. Like only something miraculous can save Southampton. They're 14 points adrift of Wolves, and they still need 2 points to stop themselves from being the worst, finishing with the worst points tally in Premier League history. Obviously held by Derby County. Woo! Yeah, Southampton are screwed. They lost last weekend as well, 3-1 against Liverpool. I don't think many people actually expected Southampton to score last week, but they did. They took the lead, but obviously Liverpool were too strong for them. Wolves themselves 6 points above Ipswich and Leicester. I think they're safe. I obviously until they're mathematically safe, they're not. I just think Ipswich and Leicester are so poor. and it was always going to be tough for the teams coming up. It always is, obviously. Um, Wolves picked up a point at the last weekend, 1-1 with Everton. I think it was a good point. I think also they could have ended up winning the game. I think they created a few chances to go on and win the game. Uh, the head-to-heads though between the two sides fairly even. Wolves shade it. Wolves have won 29. Southampton have won 28. Um, However, Southampton haven't beaten Wolves in the last 9 league meetings. Um, the last of which was the 2-0 win for Wolves in November. My predictions for this one: 2-1 to Wolves. Yeah, I kind of really do hope Southampton beat the lowest points tally because then everyone can stop talking about Derby County. Um, but hey ho, it is what it is. It would be my luck now that Southampton go and win. But hey ho. Moving on to European 6-pointer. I think Brentford are probably about the last team that are up there in the race. They do have to start hitting some consistency though. Um, Bournemouth are sat ninth and obviously 3 points off top six. Uh, they have only won one of the last four though. Won one, drawn one, lost two. Uh, and that draw was last weekend. They bottled a 2-goal lead against Spurs. Brentford 6 points off the host, so can move within 3 points if with a win, and they look good away from home. They've they've won 4 of the last 5, and they drew that one, so they are unbeaten in 5 away games. Um, I did watch them against Villa on Saturday. To be fair, the match wasn't very good, and we thought we got a brief period where it sparked into live. Obviously, Villa took the lead just after half time, and then doubled the lead. Well, thought they doubled the lead. Um, yeah, it wasn't a very good game. Um, None of the games that I watched last weekend were that good, to be fair. Um, but hey ho, it is what it is. The head-to-head's pretty close, considering how many times the teams have played each other in the past. Brentford have won 47, Bournemouth have won 39. The other 33 games ending in a draw. However, like Southampton and Wolves, Bournemouth haven't beaten Brentford in the last 8 league games, and that's excluding the playoffs. Um, their last league win against Brentford was way, way, way back in 2014. A 1-0 win back then. And that concludes the Saturday games. Although my prediction is 2-2. Again, I think I've predicted a few 2-2 draws. We could have a goal glut of a weekend, which would be nice. Would be nice. Moving on to the Sunday's game, and we start off with a firecracker of a game: Arsenal versus Chelsea. If this game doesn't get you on the edge of the seat, not many more games will. Um, yeah, Arsenal. I had a rant about Arsenal last weekend, so I'm not going to rant too much about them this weekend. But they bottled another title race. They're third in a row, 15 points off Liverpool. It's as good as Liverpool's now. Even with a Arsenal win, still 12 points with 9 games to go. Not looking good for them. They're inconsistent. They've been inconsistent in the last 4 games. Won one, drawn 2, and lost one. Chelsea. I don't think we can read into too much that they've won the last 2 games. Granted that their last 2 games were Southampton at home and Leicester at home, and then they only beat Leicester 1-0. But yeah, I don't think we can read too much into that. The head-to-head record is not massively in Arsenal's favour, but it is in Arsenal's favour. I calculated this because I realised that Arsenal have won 69 league games against Chelsea. Chelsea have won 54, so they're not a million miles behind. However, the Gunners have won 8 of the last 9, which is crazy. Although Chelsea's last league win against Arsenal was at the Emirates. So what we're saying then, Ben? What's your predictions? 3-1 Arsenal. I don't think Chelsea. I fear for Chelsea, even though they have picked up 2 wins in the last 2. they've hit a patch. Cole Palmer's not been performing as well as he has been uh, at the start of the season. So yeah, I'm going for an Arsenal win, 3-1. Moving on to the second of the Sunday games, and it is another London derby: Fulham versus Tottenham. Um, the Cottagers currently occupy bang mid-table in 10th place, 7 points off the top four, not a million miles away. Um, although they did obviously lose to Brighton at the last weekend, uh, and have only taken 6 points of the last four. Fulham are obviously outsiders for European football. They've got to start being a little bit more consistent. Same can be said for Spurs, but Spurs, if Spurs were won the next 10 games, I don't think they're making Europe. But we'll see. Spurs obviously sat in 13th. Probably have to rely on winning the Europa League. To be fair, uh, obviously they did well to come back against Bournemouth. Um, but yeah, I can't see Spurs climbing up the table too much. They might scrape top half if they hit some consistency. That is the only way they're going to do it. Um, Spurs do have a good record against Fulham though. They have won 55. Fulham have only won 20. Um, so that being said, what do I think the score's going to be? You guessed it. Fulham 2, Tottenham 2. um, so yeah, the final game of the weekend is Leicester City versus Man United. Again, Leicester are as good as gone. Whilst they are still obviously only 6 points um, from safety, uh, they've lost 12 of their last 13 Premier League games, and their win was against Tottenham. And I don't think you can judge too much about that because Tottenham are Tottenham. And they've not scored in the last 5 Premier League games either, which doesn't read good readings for Leicester City fans. I know it sounds rich coming from someone whose football team is struggling in the Championship. So you know, I kind of would like Leicester. I would like to see one day Leicester Derby and Forest in the Premier League at the same time. But whether that happens in recent years or years to come, who knows? United sit 14th on goal difference behind Spurs. Um, Last weekend, I thought they were very, very good actually against Arsenal. First half was a bit bleh. Uh, Obviously, everyone's talking about Bruno Fernandez's free kick. The wall was in the wrong place. Blah blah blah. Yada yada. Uh, but take nothing away from the free kick and the technique. It was a great strike from Fernandez. And actually, United probably should have gone on and won the game. They had quite a few chances in the second half. Raya made some fantastic saves. Um, but yeah, I think United fans can start to lift their head a little bit and start looking up the table. I think Anarim has started just to get the best out of the side at the moment. Obviously, on Thursday night they won 4-1 in the Europa League against Sociedad. Um, but yeah, uh, Leicester have got to hope for a miracle. United in the head-to-heads are so far in front. United won 73, Leicester won 36. Um, and the last of United's wins was in November when they won 3-0. So my predictions for this one, I don't think we're surprised to see Leicester City losing. Leicester 1, Man United 2. A quick mention, guys, on the Carabao Cup final, because I will be live on the Twitch channel streaming my reactions to that. I do think Liverpool are going to win. Am I going to be mad if Newcastle won? No, because it's a different name on the trophy. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I do think Liverpool will have too much for Newcastle. Like I said, I will be live on the Twitch channel streaming my reactions to the Carabao Cup final. But beforehand, I will be going live with the Old Firm Derby reactions, and we'll catch. I think we'll just about catch the second half of Arsenal Chelsea. So I will leave a link in the description, or I'll put a box up there somewhere, or up here, wherever. And yes, click that link. Go and support us over on Twitch because we are getting back into the swing of things. And I think both me and Marshall are really enjoying getting back into the content of side of things. And like I said, hopefully hitting more of a consistent basis. So yes, please do keep supporting us. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell for notifications. Because we are going to start uploading more frequently. After this video is uploaded, I think Marshall is uploading an F1 video for his predictions. We will also be live on Twitch streaming our live reactions to the race, the first race of the season in Australia. So yeah, exciting times ahead, guys. That is it for this video. Take care. See you next time. Bye, guys.